Rinpoche, I cannot hear you.
Idamang Guru Rana Mendala Gamne Yandayami. So, greetings to everyone. So please set your motivation to the Bodhisattva's attitude, Bodhisattva's motivation, which is to seek enlightenment for the sake of all sentient beings. Okay. So we will go right into the teachings. So as you know, we are going through the how to follow a spiritual teacher, a spiritual friend, basically meaning a teacher. So as we have said a couple times before, in the sutra teachings, the teacher is referred to only as a spiritual friend, not as a guru, or not. Sometimes, many times the term teacher is not used. Most of the time, it's the term the spiritual friend is used. So, so for anyway, now this is basically refers to the guru, as we popularly as it is popularly known, right? The guru is a more popular term, and I think especially in the Tibetan Buddhism, the term lama or the guru is used more popularly. In India, where the Buddha Dharma came from, either the term one term which is the teacher is used in the Vinaya Sutras, but in most of the bodhicitta, the compassion development, the development of the compassion related text, the term spiritual friend is used. So in any case, so we were talking about how to follow a teacher, and so we in a condensed manner, we covered how we should be following a teacher. So last week we ended in a verse which said, in the beginning, skillfully examine the teacher, in the middle, skillfully follow him, and in the end, skillfully emulate his realization and action. A disciple who does that is on the authentic path. And we explained how that should be done. So today we will have a few stories related to how one follows a teacher. So these were stories of past great masters from the past. So we will read through those stories and find out how they followed their teachers. They followed their spiritual friends, and from that we will take the lessons of following our spiritual friends in the most appropriate manner. So if you have the book, it's on page number 153, and right after the right after the verse, in the beginning, in the middle, in the end, how to follow a teacher, right? So in that word, right after that verse, you will find that actually, I think we should go back one page to the page number 152, and it says it actually condenses. The book condenses how to look a teacher, right? So it says, so on the very first line, so examining a teacher could be condensed into just one question: does he or does he not have a bodhicitta? If he does, he will do whatever is best for his disciples in this life and in lives to come, and their following him cannot be anything but beneficial. The Dharma taught by such a teacher is connected with the great vehicle, the Mahayana, and can only lead along the authentic path. On the other hand, a teacher who lacks bodhicitta still has selfish desires and so cannot properly transform the attitudes of his disciples. The Dharma he teaches, however profound and marvelous it may seem, will end up being useful only for the ordinary concerns of this life. This one question, therefore, epitomizes all the other points to be checked in a teacher. If a teacher's heart is filled with bodhicitta, follow him, however he might appear externally. If he lacks bodhicitta, do not follow him. However excellent his disillusionment with the world, his determination to be free, his assiduous practice, and his conduct may appear at first. So basically, you should follow a teacher who has a bodhicitta. So this is the teacher that you should be following, someone with a bodhicitta mindset, a bodhisattva mindset. And if you maybe, yeah, so we can have that in the Q&A anyways. So the base thing, the best teacher that you should be, and the most appropriate teacher that you should be following to gain enlightenment for spiritual attainment, one needs to follow a teacher who has bodhicitta, or someone who has an inclination towards the bodhisattva's mindset. So of course, one will not know whether that person, the teacher, has a bodhicitta or not, because in order to know that, you will have to kind of, it'll be difficult to read someone else's mind. So therefore, someone who has, so it is important first to learn or know about what bodhicitta is. And once you know that, and then you will, when you find someone who has those traits of a bodhisattva in them, then those people, those individuals can be accepted as your teacher, your guru. So this is, of course, we are talking about examining the teacher, examining the potential teacher, someone before they become your teacher. This is what you test. But of course, once you take that person as your teacher, when you already accept that person as your teacher, then those tests are not necessary. So this is important in a manner that you may have a teacher already, but then if you are thinking of whether you should take another teacher, another person as your guru, another teacher as your guru or not, then you should look for these qualities. So actually in the Dharma, in the sutras, they speak about 10 qualities, 50 qualities, and different qualities of the teacher. And the 10 qualities are the most popular ones, or are the most important ones. And of the 10 qualities, the most important quality of a teacher should be kindness. And humility and kindness in the teacher is the key. Once you have that, even if the teacher does not have the answer for your questions, that teacher will try to find the answer for you. There are many teachers who who doesn't have the answer, who will seek the answer in someone else and get it for you, or will recommend you to another teacher who can actually give you those answers. So for example, in Milarepa's I think it will come down there in the book, but in the Milarepa story, the teacher who he went to learn the Dharma first, he recommended that he should go to, before he met with Marpa, he was actually doing a lot of Dharma practices, spiritual practices, and it was of no avail. There was no spiritual realizations. So his teacher actually recommended him to go to Marpa, right? So that's very common. If you have a kind teacher, the teacher will be always considering, always will be concerned for your welfare, spiritual or otherwise, and will make sure that you get the right answer from him or from someone else. But if there is no kindness, so bodhicitta is something that we cannot say for sure, because we cannot recognize whether someone has a bodhicitta or not. But kindness is something that we can easily recognize. And of course, there are people who will be seemingly kind, and then there is those who are really kind. And that is something for you to discern, for something for you to uh, um, check carefully. And so basically, a teacher who is kind enough will always try to find the right answer for you. In the monasteries, we have two types of teacher. All the kids, when we come to the temple, when we come to the monastery, we were assigned two teachers. So one teacher is called the resident teacher or the house teacher. So when you are a kid, we have one elder monk looking after you, just like a parent, and that teacher is called the resident teacher. And that teacher may or may not be qualified enough to teach you, but he is still called a teacher in the sense that he will teach you how to, let's say, how to eat, how to talk, how to behave, how to read the books, and how to respect others, and how to basically how to conduct in the world. And sometimes that teacher can be very well, very highly learned, very well learned and highly scholarly person. So if your resident teacher, if your room teacher is scholarly, of course he will teach you the Dharma as well. If he is not scholarly, if he is not knowledgeable enough, he will most certainly take you to another um, spiritual teacher who is who is very well learned, and then you will learn from that person. So this is in the monastic setting, so we have that system. um, so basically what I'm trying to say here is that a teacher has to be kind above all. So right after that verse, there is a reference to some of the masters, such as the Bodhisattva Sadaprarudita, the Bodhisattva who always cries. That's his name, always crying. So Bodhisattva Sadaprarudita following Bodhisattva Dharmotkata. Mm, Dharmotkata means the protector of Dharma, or the great Dharma sometimes. So basically the story of how Bodhisattva Sadaprarudita following the Dharmotkata, the story of Naropa following Tilopa, and the stories of Milarepa following Marpa, so on and so on like that. So we will cover some of them today. So first one is the story of the Bodhisattva Sataprarudita. So his name is the Bodhisattva always crying, and he is disciple of the Bodhisattva Dharmotkata. So just like any other stories, so Buddhist, even though he's called the Bodhisattva Sataprarudita, he's not a Bodhisattva yet. So you should not be confused with that. So he's someone who is very interested to learn the Dharma, especially to learn the Prajnaparamita Sutra, the transcendental wisdom teachings. And he's not a Bodhisattva yet. But of course, after he gained the teachings, he would become known as the Sataparivruttita, the Bodhisattva Sataparivruttita, or the Bodhisattva who always cries, ever weeping. The English translation is ever weeping, always weeping. And so the story goes that the Bodhisattva ever weeping. So his name is ever weeping. So his actual name is not that. So this name comes after he became a Bodhisattva, because he always yearns to see his teacher, Bodhisattva Dharmotkata, and without seeing him, he feels tremendous pain. So for that reason, he's always crying in order to see his teacher. And you will see his picture, his portrait is unlike any other bodhisattva who sits like like this. Usually you would see him sitting like this, and in a very sorrowful state like this. So there are images of the bodhisattvas Sadapararudita. So he would be sitting something like this, like this. Anyway, so you can find the images. I will share them later anyways too. So anyway, so he is always crying, he's always weeping, in longing to see his teacher. And therefore, when he became a bodhisattva, when he became a great master teacher himself, he became to known as the always weeping bodhisattva. So we will, and this story of Bodhisattva Sataparivruttita and Dharmodgata is very, very popular in the Lamrim text, in the teachings of how to follow your teacher, etc. Whenever we talk about how one should follow how a student should follow the teacher, we talk about the story of these great masters such as Sataparivruttita, the ever weeping bodhisattva, and that of the Tilopa and Naropa and Milarepa and so on and so forth. There are many others, but these are the most popular ones. So we will talk about these stories. So when he's looking for the teachings on the Prajnaparamita, the transcendental wisdom, so he went here and there, and so he somehow came to a wasteland, a big wasteland, and where there is nobody else. And from out of nowhere, there is a voice from the sky saying, if you are looking for the Prajnaparamita, you have to go towards east. Then you should not care for your body, fatigue, tiredness, or anything. You should not care for sleep. You should not care for heat or cold or hunger or pain or anything. You just keep going a day and by night, by day and by night. Just keep going and look neither right, neither left. Just keep going until you get to the place. So basically, when you reach the place where you're supposed to get the Dharma, so you will receive the Dharma when you get there. And the Dharma, that the Prajnaparamita Sutra, can be from a monk or not a monk, or can be just from a book. So it can be from anything. So when you get there, when you get it, you will actually know it. At that time, when you find the person who is going to teach the Prajnaparamita Sutra, then consider him as your teacher and venerate his Dharma. Even if you see him enjoying the 5 pleasures of the senses, realize that the bodhisattvas are skilled in means and never lose your faith. So Sataparivruttita, the ever weeping bodhisattva, always crying bodhisattva, he so at that time he's not a bodhisattva. So he heard that, and he went into he kept going to the east over and over. And then he suddenly remembered that he forgot to ask the voice whether he should, how far should he go. And then he didn't have any idea when he should stop. So he kept going and going and going for a very long time. So there was, he started to get hungry, thirsty and everything, but he didn't stop. He just kept going and going. And so he has only one sort of thirst, which is to get the Prajnaparamita Sutra. So Prajnaparamita Sutra, as we know, is condensed in the Heart Sutra, right? The Heart Sutra that we sometimes read. This is the condensed version of the Prajnaparamita Sutra. So anyway, so he was looking for that sutra and he couldn't find it. So, and when he kept going, very strong determination, he heard again from the skies. This is from the Tathagatas, the Buddhas, saying, if you go 500 miles, 500 leagues from here, then you will get to a city called the Fragrant Breezes. Then it's a beautiful place where you will find the Bodhisattva Dharmodgata. He has a beautiful place and many queens, and he has so he's living like a king. He's a very wealthy and influential person with queen and many palaces and all that. So he will be teaching the Prajnaparamita Sutra. So when you get there, go to him and he will be able to learn the Dharma from him. So then the moment he heard that voice from the Tathagatas, the Buddhas, there was a lot of emotion within him. So he started to shake, and he could hear the Bodhisattva teaching. I mean, not all the words, but like vaguely, even though it's very far from here, he can hear some of the murmuring of the voices of the teaching. And he really wanted to go there and listen to the Dharma talk. But at the same time, he couldn't, because he has nothing. And so it's the tradition in India, when you go to receive a Dharma teaching, you have to make an offering. So he has nothing to offer to the teacher, and especially this teacher is giving such a great teaching of the Prajnaparamita Sutra, the profound teaching. He should be making a big offering, and so he has nothing to offer. And so for that reason, he decided that the only thing that he has is his own body. Uh, so he's going to sell his body to whomever they are, and then the money, the gold that he can get from selling his body, he will offer that to the teacher to receive the Dharma. So when he went out to the market and he started to sell his body, because of there's obstacle from the evil spirits, which do not want him to receive the Dharma, to do good things. So they are obscuring him. And so because of that, when he tried to sell his body, nobody can hear him. And so he cannot sell his body. And he was very, very sad. And he started crying and crying and crying. And at that time, the king of the gods, Indra, so basically a god, a very powerful god, he came, he saw that, he witnessed that, and he wanted to test the determination of the ever weeping, always crying Bodhisattva. And he came down and he said, I would like to buy, a part of your body. So he said, I would like to buy your thigh. And at that very moment, the Bodhisattva say he cut the part of his thigh, and then he break his the arms by hitting the wall, and broke his arm, and he offered the bones and the thigh, the flesh from his thigh to the god. So the god actually appeared as a beggar. The god actually appeared as a merchant, um, as a young man who wants to buy that flesh. So he appeared like that. So then the Bodhisattva Sadaparivruddhita, he thought this person is going to buy his flesh. So he cut his thighs and break his arms and the bones and gave it to him. So when that all this thing was actually witnessed by a daughter of a very, very rich lady from the town. And when she saw that, she was wondering why he was doing that. And she came down and asked why he did that. And he said, I have traded my body uh, many, many times, infinite number of times, thousands of times, millions of times in the past, in the hell realms, in the hungry ghost realm, in the animal realm. So I have done with my body so many times. And all these things, all the time when I traded my body, it was to no avail, no benefit, just ordinary benefit. But this time I'm trading my body to get transcendental wisdom, to get the Prajnaparamita Sutra, to get the wisdom. And this is certainly worth it. So for that reason, I'm going to do that. And when she heard that, she was also a very fortunate, very spiritually fortunate person. And when she heard that, she was really, you know, determined. She was touched, and she said, "I will pay for everything." Oh yeah, so he said that I'm going to get the gold and then make offering to the teacher, to Dhammadgota, so that I can receive the transcendental wisdom teachings. And when she heard that, she was really touched, and she said, you no longer have to do that. I will take care of everything. So I will take care of the gold that you need to make offerings to your teacher to get the transcendental wisdom teachings. So you don't have to worry about that. And at the same moment, the god Indra, the god of the god, the king of the gods, he was also very touched, and then he showed his true form and said, you know, I'm really impressed by your determination to get the Dharma, and I will make your all the body that it has been broken, the flesh that has been cut and the bones that has been broken, I will make it back into the normal. And he said, I do not need that. I do not need that. All I need is all I need is the Buddhahood. Mm. And the Indra said, I cannot give you Buddhahood. Buddhahood is something beyond me. If you need, I can get your body back. And then the Satariputta, the ever-weeping Bodhisattva, he said, I don't need that. I can get my body back by the power of the truth. So the power of the truth is something that is very popular in Indian Indian spiritual realm. It's very popular. It's so if you keep the truth for a very long time, if you keep speaking the truth, if you refrain from doing negative things, then when you say something, it becomes true. You have that power. If you refrain from talking at all, if you don't talk, you will not be talking lies, right? So if you don't talk, or if you talk only truthful things, or if you talk only good things, then you will gain the power of truth. And that power of truth will actually make your wishes come true. So if you say, oh, this is going to happen, then it will happen. So he said, by the power of truth, may all my body come back to its earlier conditions. And then it all come back. So then he went. Mm, so the daughter of the rich mart the rich man's daughter, who offered to make the who promised to make the offerings for him, for the ever weeping bodhisattva. So they uh, and the god the king of all the gods, Indra, who promised that he would get his body back, but he said it doesn't need. So with the power of truth, he got his body back, and with the help of the rich man's daughter, they got the bodhisattva, ever weeping bodhisattva, the ever weeping bodhisattva Sadaparirudita, and the daughter. They went home to her. They went to her home and told her parents, and the parents sent many gifts to the bodhisattva. So they left with 500 servants, maids, female servants, and they all went to the bodhisattva Dhammodagata to see him and to listen to his Dharma teachings. So Dhammodagata at that time has built a big temple to house the Prajnaparamita Sutra, and it was written in the sutra. The book itself was written on a gold-plated piece of paper, on a on an object that is plated with gold and written in the lapis lazuli ink. And basically, it's very well decorated and very well, bejeweled and all that. So, so everybody, all people from all over the country were coming there to receive the Dharma teaching from Bodhisattva Dhammodagata. So Sadaparirudita, he also went there, make the offerings with the daughter, and then sat down for the teaching. So at that time, Dhammodagata was teaching the chapter of explaining the Tathagatas neither come, neither go. This is a chapter. There's a chapter named the Tathagatas do not come, do not go. So he was teaching that. And then after the teaching, he went back to his room and he sat down in a meditation for 7 years, concentrated meditation for 7 years. So for all the 7 years, Bodhisattva Sadaparirudita, and the daughter of the rich man's daughter, and all the servants and the maids, they all refused to sit down or refused to lie down. They all stand up on their feet, and they walk around to wait for. They did not know how long will the meditation take, so they keep waiting and waiting and waiting for 7 years until the Bodhisattva Dharmodagata would come back to teach again, because his teaching was so good, and they want to listen. They want to finish off the teaching. They want him to finish off the teaching. So they waited for 7 years. And at the end of the 7 years, the Sadaparivritta heard that the gods announcing from the sky that the Bodhisattva Dharmodagata's teaching is about the meditation is about to finish, and now he will come out. And so when he is about to come out, they started to they sweep the place because it's dusty, right? There's a lot of dust. At that time, there's no floor, like concrete floor like today. So it's all the dust. So in order to welcome the Bodhisattva, the Modgata, back from his meditation, so they sweep the land, and they put sprinkle water to let the dust come down after the cleaning. But the evil spirits, what they're actually trying to disturb they disturb this Dharma event to take place. So all the water that has been sprinkled just dries up, and the Bodhisattva is about to come, and it's still very dusty. And so at that moment, Sadaparivritta, he decided that there is no other way to calm the dust down. So he cut his veins, cut his body, and the veins, and then let the blood sprout out and spit out, and then he sprinkled the blood on the ground to make the ground, the dust come down. And then when all the dust come down, then he welcomed his teacher, the Modgata. And at that time, the king of the gods, who was really touched by this determination, this devotion to the guru, turned all the red blood into red sandalwood. Red sandalwood. The sandalwood turned it into the essence of sandalwood. So it becomes sandalwood oil, and the whole earth there become fragrant. And the Bodhisattva sat down. The Dharmodagata, he came and sat down, and he completed the teaching of the Prajnaparamita fully, and there Sadaparivritta and the others gained a lot of meditative realizations, and he himself, Sadaparivritta himself, gained 6 million types of spiritual attainments, and then he has the vision of all the Buddhas, infinite Buddhas, and then from that time onwards, he would never have the vision of the Buddhas will never leave his mind. So wherever he go, he will be able to see the Buddhas. Even if he's dreaming, he will be dreaming the Buddhas. When he is awake, he will be able to see the Buddhas, and so on and so on. And and he then went to the Pure Land of a Buddha called He Who Proclaims the Dharma with inexhaustible melodious voice. So that's where he went after his death. So this is the story of Dharmodagata, Bodhisattva Sadaparivritta, showing devotion to Bodhisattva Dharmodagata. So, it's a long story. I just condensed the whole thing. So maybe if you want to so this is to inspire us into how to practice, how to follow a guru despite all the odds, and that's what we should be. I mean, of course, we cannot be like Bodhisattva Sadaparivritta. That's quite certain. But we strive. We try our best to follow the teacher to the best of our abilities. All right. So we will conclude the teaching here. I got a question here saying, so in those days, because in the olden times, things being very primitive, how can you have you can draw so much blood, cut off the limbs without bleeding to death? So this is okay. So there are two ways to take it. One thing is so this is one. Okay, first thing, it is an inspirational story. So these things are, you can take it literally, or you can take it as a inspirational story. So if you, so the main lesson that you are to take from this teaching, this story, is that how devoted Bodhisattva Sadiparirudita is to the Dharmodgata. In order to receive the teaching, how devoted he is to cut his in order to he is ready to cut his body, split his body into two, and etc. etc. So the sacrifice that he's willing to take in order to receive the Dharma. So this is the main lesson that we should take from it. And if you want to look at it from a more literal point of view, just because you cut your limbs, you will not die. Of course, I mean, just by cutting the limbs, you will not die. Of course, there will be a lot of, it depends on how much blood you lost. And that also, in order for you to die from loss of blood, it also take a couple hours. So just because you cut your limbs and you're losing blood, you will not die like within a few minutes. Usually it takes a couple hours, even after you start losing your blood. So just because you cut your limbs doesn't mean you will die at that moment. Of course, if you cut your head, or maybe something is to happen to your vital organs like the heart, then you will die much more quicker death. But if you cut your limbs, or if you cut your fingers or that kind of thing, there may be a lot of blood, there will be a lot of pain, but you will not die right away. That's for sure. As I said, the main thing to take from this story is that how you should be devoted to your teacher. It is not saying that everyone should now start cutting their limbs, or cut their veins to sprinkle water, or that kind of thing. But it is the sacrifice that one is willing to take. So the determination and the sacrifice that one is willing to take in order to receive the Dharma, that determination should be there, and that devotion, that determination to receive the teaching and devotion to the teacher, that is vital. That is the key. That is the most important thing. There was a story it's a Greek story of I forgot, it's Socrates or someone. So he maybe Plato, but anyways, it's a Greek scholar. So somebody came to ask him to teach, and that person, the young man, came to that scholar asking him to teach many times, but he always pushes him away. And then one day he was asking him, that the boy always comes to him to teach, right? And then he just keeps pushing the boy away. So one day the boy came when he was swimming in the ocean, so in the beach. So the boy came and he asked to teach, and the philosopher, I forgot his name, maybe it's Socrates, maybe Plato, I don't know. So he asked the boy to come to the water, and then he grabbed the boy by the collar and put him into the water, into the ocean. And then the boy was shaking, and he's having a very hard time breathing. So it took, he put him there for a couple minutes, and almost when he is about to die, then that he took him out of the water, and then he was gasping for air, and couldn't having difficulty breathing. And then the moment that he said, what you need, what you want the most, what you want, and he said, I need air, and air. So, and then he said, just like you wish for air when you are struggling under the water, you should have that determination to learn your craft, to study. If you just come to me asking to teach just casually, I will not teach you. But if you are really determined to learn, like you are gasping you are thirsting for air when you are underwater for too long. If you have that sort of determination, then you can learn. Then you can become a great you can become a great student. And then the student realized that's how you should be, and then he followed the teacher and he studied well and all that. So basically, this is the story of determination, story of inspiration, story of motivation. It's you don't have to take it literally if you don't feel like, if it is a story that is uncomfortable with your mindset, you don't have to take it literally, but that is uh, uh, there is the moral behind the story is about determination, and about single pointedness, being concentrated, single pointedly concentrated towards your goal. Nothing can distract you from your goal of receiving the Prajnaparamita Sutra. So that is the moral behind the story. So thank you. We'll conclude here. Do the dedication now. Gewan de nyodo da lama sangye chobjuron dowa jigyam male amban de sala ke bara sho chanjo semjo embo che maye ba nama ke gyoro ke ba nyamba me bara yang kone kondo pe bara sho me je ve ai de re je re si te me ai ke be wine boy jan de boy my lu jo my ze sang we ai ta kan je ge be zoi gen zong gai ba la bai sai dai be shai lai soi wai dem me ein ze we ein de se je me again be wine boy John be young de boy my Jomo ze I saw him gone ge be zoi ge zoi kai ba loi sai chai shai lai so wa me in ze ve ai de re je ne re se te me ke be boy John be de boy my lu jo my ze sai we da kan je ge be zoi gen zoi gai ba loi san dai be shai lai soi wai de loi san dai be shai lai soi Zembe Yimbo Zembe Benga Shen Naman Do Yu Gun Lan Chan Chuan Lo San Che Ye Herbert Do Ding